Hello everyone, thanks for tuning to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. For today's second video, that's going to take us to around the 6th of October. We'll also have a look at Beijing Climate Center. It's 40 days, so that'll take us pretty much to the end of October. Actually, I'm going to start off with the latest situation in the tropical Atlantic, bring you up to date with what's going on there. So, before I go on with that, just say the 5-day forecast was released earlier on today. I'm running very, very late today, so apologies for that. 5-day forecast was released earlier on today, but 5-day forecast period going to be mainly dry. Actually, it's starting off quite warm in the south, but it will be getting cooler over the weekend. In fact, quite cold early next week. We'll pick that up with today's second video. I'll run you through the charts from the start of next week and go right way through to the 10-day time frame. But we'll begin with what's happening in the tropics. So we've got 3 areas of interest here. So, well, let's deal with Kirk first of all, because that's quite interesting what's happened there. This was a tropical storm Kirk. It weakened down to post-tropical cyclone. And now it's strengthened back up to a tropical storm again, so that's quite unusual for that to happen. Kirk is currently in that position, and it's giving sustained winds of 45 miles an hour. This is what's forecast to happen with Tropical Storm Kirk over the next few days. So beginning just here, it's set to move in that direction into the southern Caribbean, going down to a tropical depression by Saturday, and then going post-tropical as we get through to the south of the Dominican Republic and then to south of Jamaica through Sunday and Monday. So it will give a bit of a blow and some heavy rain to some of those sort of Leeward Islands and that kind of area in the Caribbean. Otherwise, it doesn't look like it'll be too bad with Kirk. It's not going up to a hurricane. But quite unusual how that has re-intensified. Then we've got this yellow X just here, just off the coast of America. So that's disturbance 1. It has a 20% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. A weak low pressure area located about 100 miles southeast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, is producing disorganized shower activity well to the east of the center. Strong upper level winds are expected to inhibit development of this system. The low is forecast to move northeastward this morning and could produce scattered showers or dangerous surf and rip currents along the eastern North Carolina coast as it passes by. The low is expected to continue moving northeastwards and merge with a frontal system or dissipate offshore of New England on Thursday. For more information, contact the National Weather Service office. So it's got a low 20% chance of becoming a cyclone in the next 48 hours and a low 20% chance of becoming a tropical storm in the next 5 days as well. So don't think we have to worry too much about that one. And then we've got this orange X just here in the middle of the northern tropical Atlantic. That's disturbance 2. And it's got a 40% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. Post-tropical cyclone Leslie, located several hundred miles southwest of the Azores, is producing disorganized shower activity and gale force winds. Leslie is expected to reacquire subtropical or tropical characteristics, so doing something similar to Kirk, on Thursday or Friday, while the cyclone meanders over the north central Atlantic. For more information on this system, high seas forecast issued by the National Weather Service, have a look at that. So in the next 5 days, it's got a 40% chance of becoming a tropical cyclone. But in the next 2 days, I should say, 40% chance. In the next 5 days, it actually has a 90% chance, of re-intensifying. So it looks like this is going to do something very similar to Kirk and will re-intensify and redevelop into a tropical storm. So quite a bit happening in the tropical Atlantic at the moment. We'll be keeping an eye on it, of course. Right, these are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. Looking at London today. So starting pretty warm in London at the moment. Got another couple of days of this to go, rest this afternoon and tomorrow. Friday sees a drop in the temperature, taking us into what is quite a cool spell over the weekend and into the start of next week. Through the middle part of next week, temperatures are lifting up again. Those upper air temperatures are lifting up a little bit, although there is a bit of scatter there with some of these ensemble members keeping things quite cool. And then in the more extended range, which takes us into the second week of October, that's this period just here, quite a bit of scatter. Most of the ensemble members, again, are staying on the milder side of average with the upper air temperatures, but we have got a few ensemble members that are quite chilly, so it's a bit of a mixed bag. But do bear in mind, those ensemble members that are going quite warm with the upper air temperatures, they're mainly under high pressure, so it's not necessarily all that going to be all that relevant for what's happening down on the surface anyway. It could still be quite chilly, particularly at night now, even with those warmer upper air temperatures. Lots of dry weather to come, but hardly any rain really in the next week for London. The second week of October, possibly just a few hints that it's turning a little bit more unsettled, but even then the precipitation spikes are very intermittent. There aren't all that many of them, and you always see something a bit different happening in the extended range of the ensembles anyway. So what we can say is that definitely for the next week to 10 days there is going to continue to be a lot of dry weather. Temperature anomalies look like that, so coming out close to average, maybe even a little bit on the cooler than average side, but it's not a big deviation from the 26th of September through to the 4th of October, not too far from average, and still remaining pretty dry as well. This is the precipitation anomaly from 26th of September to the 4th of October. Most places coming out quite substantially drier than average. That's how the GFS is looking for Saturday. Then this is all covered by a 5-day forecast, of course. Saturday, and in fact, Sunday will be dominated by high pressure mainly, although by Sunday we are pulling that high pressure out into the middle of the Atlantic just a little bit and starting to drop a cold front southwards. As we go through into Monday, actually we're going to bring some quite cold air down temporarily early next week. I did a video yesterday saying that cold air could be knocking on the door next week, and it certainly will be through the early part of the week. Most of that cold air is going into Scandinavia, but there is a little bit of it just heading into northern and eastern parts of the UK. There's the upper air temperatures. They do look quite chilly. These upper air temperatures here, where we've got these green colours, that is enough in October to be producing night frost. So I think Monday probably starts off with a fairly widespread frost if skies are clear, but you'll notice this little puddle of -5, 850 HPA air just heading into the northeast of Scotland. That's genuinely cold air. Will probably be enough to be producing wintry showers on Monday, the first day of October, of course. Wintry showers for northern and northeastern parts of Scotland, particularly at elevation, but not exclusively so. I wouldn't totally rule out the chance of a few flakes of snow coming down to lower levels, somewhere like Inverness, for example, on Monday, and probably another fairly widespread frost on Monday night. That's Tuesday. By then the winds begin to back into the west again, so begin to pull less cold air in from off the Atlantic as this high just slips a little bit further south. Probably some showery rain in the north as well. High pressure then dominates through the course of next week. That's taking us up to Friday 5th of October. High pressure is in control. There is a weather system in the very far northwest of Scotland, but we don't really need to worry too much about that at this stage. It looks like high pressure will be dominating, probably pleasantly warm by day, but I would have thought still generally fairly chilly at night, and if skies are clear, possibly cool enough for ground frost, and maybe miss some fog patches as well, and they can take a little while to clear even in the day when you get through to October. In the more extended range, beyond day 10, that's how we look. Slow turning a little bit more unsettled, really. So there we are on Monday the 8th of October, for example, bringing down what looks like quite an active front from the northwest. That could take cloud and rain across the country. Then the ridge has another go at building back up from the Azores. The extension from the Azores High has another go, but at the end of the GFS run, Friday 12th of October, another weather system's moving in from the Atlantic. It looks like this second week of October, certainly as far as the GFS is concerned, could start to turn a little bit more unsettled. ECMWF looks like that. Loads of dry weather coming up over the weekend with high pressure. The main problem over the weekend is I think there'll be quite a lot of cloud around, but there will be some bright or sunny spells, and in any bright sunny spells it'll feel pleasant enough, but temperatures will be a little bit on the lowly side at the weekend. And then we turn wind into the north early next week. This is Monday, when northerly winds are pushing down across the country. So again, we have that shot of air from the Arctic. That could well give us a frosty start to October. There's the upper air temperatures bringing that -5 isotherm in towards the north of Scotland, so wintry showers are possible in the north of Scotland on Monday. That's Tuesday. The high pressure is toppling in, but still in a pretty cold northeasterly wind actually, so there could be another frost there Monday into Tuesday. Upper air temperatures definitely suggesting that risk we're talking about proper air frost here, not just talking about ground frost. We are talking about genuine air frost, I think, is a possibility by night, on sunny night, and again possibly on Monday night as well. That takes us through to Wednesday. The high pressure then toppling in over the country. It's taking a little bit longer compared to the GFS to introduce the less cold air from off the Atlantic, but eventually it is infiltrating. So gradually a warming up process taking place through the course of next week, with temperatures returning back closer to average. Again, could still be quite chilly at night though, skies are clear. That's how we finish up with this GFS run at day 10, which is Saturday 6th of October. Again, as we're moving towards the second week of October, it just looks like things are beginning to turn a little bit more unsettled, with these areas of low pressure starting to head in from the Atlantic. And then finally, we've got the GEM. So again, plenty of dry weather over the weekend, albeit probably quite cloudy. There's that northerly shock coming down from Sunday into Monday, giving us a cold start to October. Probably widespread night frost is possible, and I would have thought wintry showers may be affecting the very far north of Scotland. Through the course of next week, that high pressure ridges back in, and it brings some less cold air from in off the Atlantic as well. So a lot of quiet weather through the course of next week. Temperatures returning close to average. That's how we finish up on day 10. Again, it just looks like it might be starting to turn a little bit more unsettled, but any real change to unsettled conditions will be in the second week of October, I would have thought. Finally, just have a look at the Beijing Climate Center for the next 40 days. So these are 500 millibar heights. They broke it down into 10-day periods. The first 10-day period will take us from the 26th of September to the 5th of October, with above average heights over and to the south and southwest of the UK, and below average heights up to the north. The jet stream's going to our north as well, so a lot of dry and quiet weather. As we've already seen, it's not going to be overly warm with this high pressure. Early next week, it will turn actually quite cold, particularly so for northern parts of the countries. But the main emphasis in the next sort of 10 days into the start of October is on mostly dry conditions. But then the next 10-day period, this is taking us from the 6th of October to the 15th of October, does look more unsettled. We take that ridge out into the middle of the Atlantic. We've got below average heights over and to the east of the country. The flow and the jet is coming through like that. So that's turning a good deal more unsettled. It is quite cool still as well. The air is coming from the northern part of the Atlantic Ocean, but the main thing there is a switch to more unsettled conditions with showers or longer spells of rain possible. And then we go through to the next 10-day period. This takes us from the 16th to the 25th of October, and we actually have a trough of below average heights centred over the top of the UK then. So that looks really quite unsettled indeed. Bit of a blocking signal up to the north. The jet stream is probably to our south, so this is really autumnal stuff. This is going to be a trough of low pressure over the top of the country. It will bring showers or longer spells of rain, and the temperatures will be quite cool as well because the jet stream is to our south. So much more unsettled as we go into October with the Beijing Climate Center at the moment. And then we go through to the final 10-day period, which takes us from the 26th of October to the 5th of November, and we have below average heights, then a big trough out to west of the UK, still a bit of a blocking signal up to the north. That's not as cold because the air is coming in from off the Atlantic Ocean, but it does look very unsettled. So after all these weeks and months of dry weather it looks as though the prolonged dry spell is kind of like running out of road now. And if the Beijing Climate Center is right, once we get the opening days of October out of the way, which are still generally quite dry, once we get into that second week of October, the Beijing Climate Center is suggesting we turn things much more unsettled, and then those much more unsettled conditions continue really through the rest of October and even into the start of November. That would be a real change on what we've had. What I've had really since April, because generally we have been in a protracted, very dry spell of weather since May, particularly for southern parts of the country. While September has had a few bursts of unsettled weather, they're tending not to last all that long. But if this is right, this looks like a proper run of several weeks of quite wet weather. So it's a big change. It could be that the Beijing Climate Center is wrong about this, and we'll just have to wait and see how this verifies. Because as I say, it is a big change, not only on what we've had over the past few months, it's also a big change on what the model output, the shorter range model output, like the GFS and the ECM, what they're showing, although they are hinting at the possibility of something a bit more unsettled than the second week of October. They're certainly not going anywhere near this extent of unsettled weather at the moment. So if this happens, if this change to very unsettled weather does occur through October, it'll be hats off to the Beijing Climate Center for picking it out. Right, so that's it for your videos today. Again, sorry for running so late. Tomorrow we'll have another look at the next week to 10 days, so come back for that then. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.